Commission 2019. So we'll buckle down to the proceedings now.
Dear shareholders of AFC, members of AFC board and directors, executive management, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 11th Annual General Meeting holding at AFC headquarters, number 3A, Husband Road, Ikoyi, Lagos, Nigeria. As chairman, I would like to extend my appreciation to my fellow directors, the executive management team, and all employees of AFC for their efforts and diligence in advancing the strategic mission and vision of the shareholders and member states of this great organization. Our mandate is to develop the African continent by improving infrastructure development across Africa. Our vision remains to build AFC into a leading African institution, active in infrastructure financing on the continent. Having attained a quorum, I formally declare the annual general meeting open. I will commence the annual general meeting by introducing the AFC Board of Directors, after which I will share a few words about the organization's activities for the 2018 financial year. The Board of Directors are, by a show of hands, but those who are present, please show your hands to be recognized. Adeshola Adetuta, Ahmad Abdullahi, Mr. Ebenezer Nyago, Mr. Emeka Emowa. Are they all represented? Represented. So if you're representing a board member, please show your hands too. Mr. Patrick Akin, Mr. Roosevelt Obana, Pastor Tunde Lemo, and Mr. Victor Sadalo. I would like to also introduce the President and CEO of AFC, Mr. Samaila Subairu, and the Executive Directors of AFC. They are by show of hands. I know Sanjeev is here, and Oliver is also here. Gentlemen, you are all welcome. There is more information about board members' background and professional experience in the AFC annual report. Shortly, I will present to you, as chairman of the board, highlights of the corporation's activities and developments during the year. The CEO will also present a brief statement on the affairs of the corporation. Let me also add that additional information can be found in AFC website. The external auditors are here. They will present their report for the financial year ended December 2018. We shall thereafter vote on the resolutions proposed by the Board of Directors. After you have been given the opportunity, ask questions, seek clarifications, and provide comments on the report submitted to you and the future goals of your corporation. I would like to thank you for your faith in Africa by investing in Africa Finance Corporation. Also, I would like to thank you for your presence at this general meeting. The general meeting will proceed to consider the agenda and the various resolutions presented by management. I call on our General Counsel, Ms. Nana Kisum. She is also the Corporate Secretary, to read the convening notice of the meeting.
Notice is hereby given that the 11th Annual General Meeting of the Africa Finance Corporation is held today at 1 p.m. at the AFC's headquarters located at 3A Osborne Road, Ikoyi, Lagos, Nigeria. The agenda is as follows. 1. Presentation of the 2018 AFC Annual Report. 2. Receipt and adoption of the 2018 Financial Statements and Annual Report. 3. Declaration of dividend and approval for distribution. 4. Retirement, appointment, confirmation of non-executive directors. 5. Appointment, confirmation of external auditors. 6. Remuneration of external auditors. And 7. Any other business. That ends the agenda. Thank you.
I will not bore you reading it verbatim, but rather I just highlight some turning points. Find time to read it. It contains some pertinent information that you would like to know, particularly how rich you will be after this meeting. But let me just x-ray some critical points about our company. The infrastructure deficit that the continent faces is no longer news to anybody. We face huge infrastructural deficit, not only in Nigeria or West Africa, but the continent as a whole. The African Development Bank is playing a critical role in trying to narrow the deficit. Your company is playing a complementary role to drill down the essence of having a level playing ground for us to catalyze development. Without infrastructure, economic growth will be a pipe dream. Some figures are presented in the statement to showcase how much money we need to bridge this gap. The amount is humongous by every standard. $170 billion is required annually if we can meet the minimum requirement. This is not a child's play. But the beauty of our company is that we are here for a long haul. We have dedicated staff who understand what it means to be a pathfinder. They will leverage on the talent, the human capital, which to me is more critical than finances. You can have all the money in this world, If you don't have the human talent, this money goes down the drain. We have seen big corporations go belly up because the human capital was lacking. It will not be so with AFC in Jesus' name. The economic landscape in Africa has been challenging. In the past decade, we do not promise any bed of roses in the near or medium term. The challenge will still be there. Well, as the saying goes, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. But with strong fundamentals in place, AFC, to my mind, is one of the only African supranational with fully paid-in capital held exclusively in US dollar. It also has one of the lowest leverage ratios of any supranational, with growth largely financed by its conservative capital structure. This literally underscores the need for a talent pool second to none. And here in AFC, we can pride ourselves that we have a collection of intelligent men and women, well diversified geographically and globally, well diversified in age and gender. So we have the energy, we have the wherewithal, and we have the market. We have so much to do, but so little done. For those who profess my faith, we can only pray that the God of harvest should give us more resources to bridge our financial and structural deficits. Thank you for listening. At this point, I will call on the CEO. When Mr. Lebo called him president when I was coming in, I looked around to see whether it was my President Buhari. So I told him to call him his CEO. I'm used to be sitting close to Mr. President, I only call him Mr. President. So CEO, please make a presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being here. So very quick remarks. We've listened to the chairman's remarks and he's talked about the economy in general. So I'm not going to say much about that other than irrespective of the fact that Africa has made some modest growth from about 3.9% last year to a projected 4% this year. There are still a couple of headwinds that we think can impact our operating performance this year. We're still concerned about the rising debt of most African nations. Most of the countries on the continent have rising debt that are GDP or sometimes above GDP. That could be a challenge. There's concerns now around the trade tensions between the US and China and its possible impact on demand for commodities and potentially the price of commodities. That will also lead to challenges for currencies on the continent. Notwithstanding, AFC was able to operate profitably in 2018. We grew our profit by 28% to 128 million. We were able to increase total comprehensive income modestly as well to 118 million, mainly by being proactive in managing the portfolio, by growing volumes of the risk assets, by growing volume of the treasury goods as well, and negotiating better yields on transactions. Some of the milestones that happened during the year, we had 3 new member states join AFC. Zimbabwe is now a member of AFC, Togo and Malawi are members of AFC. We also have two new shareholders. The Republic of Ghana is a shareholder. AFDB has also approved an investment in AFC. The modalities for Africa Re was also concluded in 2018. They are also members of AFC as we speak. Some of the notable transactions we embarked upon was the closure of the 577 million sale transaction. That was indeed a landmark for AFC because on that transaction we were able to do securitization of the cash flows. We were able to build a coalition of new investors to work with us on the continent. We were able to attract insurance companies and pension funds from Europe to participate on projects on the continent. We think that we've built a framework that we can replicate for other transactions. We also were able to close the 174 million 44 megawatt hydropower project in Cote d'Ivoire. That is also very good for us because we have added to our portfolio of renewable energy assets. We were also able to close the Nachigal 420 megawatt investment in Cameroon, also another renewable energy project. Going forward, we want to reconnect with our mandate and our mission. Our mandate is one that requires us to develop and finance infrastructure assets on the continent. That's very important because we all know the drawbacks of the deficit. The drawbacks are mainly in reduced GDP growth and reduced productivity on the continent, and the inability of African countries to trade with each other. We have one of the lowest regional trade in the world, and we need to work on making improvements in that space. Our strategy going forward is how we can accelerate the pace of development impact on the continent by looking at highly impactful projects that we can embark upon. We have a strategy of diversifying our revenue base, trying to increase that revenue base, focusing on developments so that we can create the projects that we need to succeed, and staying on those projects in a way that we can get pools of revenues from several aspects of the evolution of the project. We will continue to be the enabler of highly impactful projects on the continent. There are a couple of regional projects, there are a couple of projects in Nigeria, there are a couple of projects across the continent that we'll continue to look at. We will focus on those projects that will have significant impact on the continent. We have a huge pipeline of projects that we're looking at, but typically only about 10% of them will get to financial close. We will continue to take a proactive approach to risk management. We will continue to look at how we can enhance the capacity of the teams to do better analysis and to stay on the assets after they've been created, to monitor the portfolio. We're going to build early warning systems to know how the portfolio is developing and if there are any changes that we need to react to them on time. We will continue to focus on partnerships that we have built with DFIs across the continent and those of them that are outside the continent that are looking to do business in Africa. We have created an African Investment Forum whereby 6 key DFIs on the continent have agreed to work together. We have extended that to other DFIs that are not working on the continent but are interested. We also have to, I would say, congratulate ourselves for what we have done to date. At the recent discussion, there was a lot of big DFIs discovered how much we invested in the continent. One of the oldest DFIs said that they invested $3 billion from their operations, I think in 1960 when they started on the continent. AFC in 11 years has invested $5.5 billion across the continent. They have also indicated their aspirations to increase their footprint on the continent to about $10 billion of investment on the continent. We are going to continue to work at our pace and see how far we can go. time we get to the next 5 or 10 years. So I won't want to just continue talking because this is an AGM supposed to be short. But I'll just conclude by saying that we are focused at AFC to do the work that is required to improve the operating environment on the continent. We have the team of, I would say, competent professionals that are able to work with governments and sponsors to transform ideas to bankable projects. We have the capital to deploy to those projects. We have the relationships that we will continue to build to ensure that AFC will be the leading Africa infrastructure solution provider. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CEO. We didn't expect anything less. Our activities will continue to be transformative in the continent. I will now call on the General Counsel, the external auditors, to present their report.
The independent auditor's report is on pages 72, I think to 78 of the annual report. Mr. Chairman and shareholders, if I have your permission, I will read an abridged version. Thank you. The independent auditor's report to the shareholders of Africa Finance Corporation. The report on the audit of the consolidated financial statements, and first the opinion. We have audited the consolidated financial statements of Africa Finance Corporation, thereafter called the Corporation, which comprise the consolidated statement of financial position as at the 31st of December 2018, and the consolidated statement of comprehensive income, the consolidated statement of changes in equity, and the consolidated statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and notes comprising significant accounting policies and other explanatory information, which are on pages 78 to 178. In our opinion, the accompanying consolidated financial statements give a true and fair view of the consolidated financial position of the corporation as at the 31st of December 2018, and its consolidated financial performance and its consolidated cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards, IFRS. The basis for opinion: we conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the consolidated financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the corporation in accordance with the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, the ISBAC Code, together with the ethical requirements that are relevant to our audit of the consolidated financial statements in Nigeria, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with these requirements and the ISBAC Code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The audit report is signed by me, Oluwafemi Awotoye, for KPMG Professional Services. It is dated the 8th of March 2019. Thank you.
I will now call on the General Counsel to make her presentation on the financial statements, on the resolution, rather. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'll now read through the resolutions for the 11th Annual General Meeting of AFC. 1. Approval of the 2018 financial statements and annual report. In accordance with Article 16.1c of the Charter of the Africa Finance Corporation, the General Meeting hereby approves the financial statements and annual report of the Corporation for the financial year ended on 31st December 2018. Pursuant to Article 34 of the Charter, the General Meeting discharges the directors and the auditors from all liabilities in relation to any act or action performed by them with respect to the affairs of the corporation for the aforesaid financial year. 2. Declaration of dividend and approval for distribution. In accordance with Article 16.1d, 29(1) and 2 of the Charter, the General Meeting, on the recommendation of the Board of Directors, hereby declares a dividend of $59,018,960 United States dollars and approves dividend payout to shareholders of 5.383 US cents per share. 3. Confirmation, ratification of appointment of non-executive directors. In accordance with Articles 16.1a and 21 of the Charter, and on the recommendation of the Board of Directors, the General Meeting hereby ratifies the appointment of Patrick Akinwuntan as a non-executive director of the corporation and elects Patrick Akinwuntan for a term of 3 years effective December 5th, 2018. 4. Confirmation, ratification of renewal of appointment of non-executive directors. In accordance with Article 16.1a of the Charter, and on the recommendation of the Board of Directors, the General Meeting hereby ratifies the renewal of the appointment of 1. Emeka Emua as a non-executive director of the corporation and elects Emeka Emua for a term of 3 years, effective from 14 December 2018. And 2. Ratifies the renewal of the appointment of Adeshola Adedunton as a non-executive director of the corporation and elects Adeshola Adedunton for a term of 3 years, effective from 1st of January 2019. 5. Non-African shareholders of the corporation. In accordance with Article 5 of the Agreement for the Establishment of Africa Finance Corporation, and on the recommendation of the Board of Directors pursuant to Articles 7.2 and 16.1g of the Charter, the General Meeting hereby resolves to increase the limit on the total percentage shareholding of international non-African private investors in the corporation from 20% to 24% of the shareholding in the corporation. 6. Confirmation of appointment of external auditors. In accordance with the policy of the corporation, the General Meeting hereby confirms the appointment of KPMG Professional Services with offices located at KPMG Towers, Bishop Aboyode Cole Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, Nigeria, as the corporation's external auditors for a term of 1 year, ending on the day of the General Meeting that will approve the financial statements and the annual report for the 2019 financial year. And finally, 7. Annual remuneration of external auditors. In accordance with the provisions of Article 16.1b and h of the Charter, the General Meeting authorizes the Board of Directors to negotiate and adopt in its name and on its behalf the remuneration of the external auditors for the approved 10. That ends the resolutions.
Thank you very much, General Counsel and Secretary to the Board. Shareholders and directors, I will now open the floor for questions and voting. First questions. Or should we vote for the adoption of all the resolutions first, then we'll take questions? Whichever way is preferred. Okay, so we shall take the resolutions in one full swell. Go by enumerating one by one. You have heard everything. So those members here present are cordially requested. Those who say aye should raise their hand, and those voting nay should also do so after the ayes have voted and we have adopted it. See, I'm very democratic. Very democratic. So those who say aye, please vote.
In respect of all or one?
Definitely all. All the resolutions I said to save time. I know you are all busy, very busy people. And today being Friday, we may run into traffic. I mean, being Thursday, we run into traffic. So the ayes have it. Can I hear by a voice vote? The ayes have it, yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now we open the floor for questions. There won't be a time limit for this. If you have many questions, we have lawyers who will answer you. And our auditors are here to answer yours.
I think it has been a tradition here to see a steady growth in the development of this company. I mean, since I started attending this AGM, I noticed that the growth hasn't been a sine wave, it's been a steady growth. And I think that this can be linked to the degree of the practice of corporate governance in this organization. So I want to commend the organization, the board, and the management, and to say you should please keep it up. On page 46. Page 46. And when the pension scheme started in 2004, it was actually 5% for employees and 7.5% for employers. And I think somewhere in 2010, it was adjusted to 8% for employees and a minimum of 12% for employers. I wanted to know whether there is any reason for retaining this ratio.
Thank you very much. Your observations are actually in respect of PENCOM, which is the Nigerian pension law. As you are aware, AFC is an international multilateral organization, so we are not bound by the Nigerian PENCOM because we have a lot of international staff within also the corporation.
So which organization regulates it? Which one do you follow? Or is it
We
just for information?
Yeah, it's actually for us. We are regulated by the board, and also we are self-regulated because we are supranational, and those are the characteristics of a supranational organization. So we usually, in most cases, follow best practice across the globe.
That's a good answer. Actually, your question is very, very relevant for Nigerian entities. The PENCOM Act must be obeyed. But for the supranational organizations like ADB, AFC, IFC, of course, IMF, World Bank, you don't have to follow that. But the truth of the matter is that they are being guided and regulated by their boards. It's what the board decide that they implement. And I believe what the board has decided is for the good of the corporation and for the staff. And if there's any reason to up the ante, it will be done. But thank you for that observation.
All protocols to be observed. My name is Odiri Ogini. I'm representing United Capital Services. My question is ASC looking to raise equity maybe in the short term, probably to give opportunities for those who want to increase their stake or probably reduce their stake? Thank you.
That's a very good question. I will pass that question to the CEO to answer.
Thanks for the question. Clearly, based on the resolution, there is an approval to increase the equity capital of the corporation. There will also be an opportunity for people to sell if they want to sell, and there will be an opportunity for people to increase if they want to increase. But it will be done on a selective basis. So if people want to increase, they can write to us and tell us that they want to increase. If people want to sell, they can write to us and tell us that they want to sell as well. And we'll consider it as we make the plans to increase capital. Thank you.
Yes, we are all satisfied. Thank you very much for that. I think we now go to the next item on the agenda, any other business. Since we didn't have more questions from the floor, I doubt if there will be any other business. But we still have time and room to entertain questions from the shareholders and members here present. Any other business? Well, in the absence of any other business and comment, it is indeed my privilege and honor to continue to assure us all that your company, your corporation will remain transformative in the continent, not only in the sub-region. I started the journey 11 years ago, and the journey continues. We pray that next year will be brighter. And with the caliber of men and women in the organization, their dedication to service, their passion, I believe the sky is not the limit, it's just the foundation. I thank you very much and God bless. So we declare the annual general meeting formally closed. Thank you very much and God bless.